Inauguration Fight My Story by Bianca Ojukwu. Former Nigerian ambassador to Spain, Ambassador Bianca Ojukwu, has given her own account of the fight between her and the wife of the immediate past governor of Anambra State, Obiano, at the inauguration of Professor Chukwuma Soludo as governor. The two women had engaged in a fight at the venue of Soludo's inauguration as governor in Oka on Thursday, when Mrs. Obiano walked up to Mrs. Ojukwu where she was seated. Mrs. Ojukwu, wife of the late Igbo leader, Chief Emeka Ojukwu, was later seen in a trendy video slapping her before they were separated by guests at the venue. The incident, which disrupted the inauguration ceremony for some few minutes, attracted reactions from Nigerians, including the Obi of Oka, Ancient Kingdom, the Eze Uzo, third of Oka, Dr. Austin Indigwe, who described Obiano's wife's conduct as shameful, giving her own account of the incident in a statement sent to This Day. Mrs. Ojukwu said she had initially ignored Mrs. Obiano's verbal onslaught, but later gave the former Anambra First Lady a dirty slap in self-defense when she attempted to remove her head tie, an action she said was considered a sacrilege to a titled matriarch such as myself in Igbo culture. Mrs. Ojukwu insinuated that Mrs. Obiano's may have acted under the influence of alcohol, saying, "What struck me through the whole episode was the fact that she was clearly intoxicated. I was stunned by the stench of whiskey in her breath at such an early hour of the day. How could a first lady be so drunk and proceeded to turn up in the States at an inauguration ceremony that began at 9 a.m. In the statement, Mrs. Ojukwu said, "As the inauguration ceremony for Professor Charles Soludo and his deputy began and all guests were seated, the former First Lady of Anambra State, Mrs. Obiano, was noticeably absent. She then arrived some 1.5 hours later while the ceremony was on, and I didn't pay any particular attention to her arrival. Surprisingly, she then walked towards me and I thought she was coming to greet me. Instead, she got to where I was seated. She verbally attacked me with her voice raised, taunting me and asking me what I was there to do and using unprintable vile language. She asked if I had come to celebrate their last day in office, but I ignored her completely. Then she kept aggressively putting her hands on my shoulders and shouting. While I ignored her verbal onslaught, as advised by those sitting around me, I requested twice that she refrain from touching me with her hands. She proceeded to do so yet again and went further to grab at my head tie, which she attempted unsuccessfully to remove. This very act is considered a sacrilege to a titled matriarch such as myself in Igbo culture. It was at this point that I stood up to defend myself and gave her a dirty slap to stop her from attacking me. She then made towards me. I then pulled away her wig. She held onto her wig with her two hands and tried to take the wig away from me. The former ABGA chairman, Ume, told her to leave me and told ABGA members that had gathered at the spot to lead her away, which they did and took her to the seat next to her husband, Chief Willie Obiano, who sat through the entire episode completely speechless. What struck me through the whole episode was the fact that she was clearly intoxicated. I was stunned by the stench of whiskey in her breath at such an early hour. How could a first lady be so drunk and proceeded to turn up in that state at an inauguration that began at 9 a.m.? It is unfortunate that she threw all caution to the wind and imported this kind of melodrama to a state ceremony. This was highly embarrassing to the governor, who left the venue almost immediately, taking her along with him. Luckily, this did not disrupt the proceedings, and I stayed back to witness the ceremony to the end, after which we were treated to a sumptuous reception at the government house. Reacting to the incident, the Obi of Oka, Ancient Kingdom, Dr. Austin Indigwe, described Obiano's wife's conduct at the inauguration as shameful. He consequently gave her 7 days to apologize to Igbo people to the entire Igbo people all face serious consequences over her sacrilegious action against the symbol of Igbo unity, Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu. The monarch also said Mrs. Obiano should tender unreserved apology to the Governor Soludo for her disgraceful conduct during his inauguration and to the Chief Judge of the state who was conducting the swearing-in when she descended so low like a mad dog. The OB of Awka statement read, Bianca told me after the incident that what angered her was that Ebere called her unprintable names, including prostitute, and queried her presence at the swearing-in ceremony. Unfortunately, this grave sin was committed in the land of Oka, which is known for peace and unity. Therefore, as the traditional ruler of the people and chief custodian of our culture, I'm under obligation to perform some sacrifices to cleanse our land of this filth and pollution and to appease the gods. A study of the scenario as the incident occurred showed that her action was deliberate because, as it were, she came very much prepared to disrupt the swearing-in ceremony, and it is troubling that she began her ignoble actions when the chief judge stood up to swear in the new governor as she came and sat on his seat, a clear show of shame and lack of respect. Even when she was informed that the seat was for the chief judge, she refused to vacate the seat, only for her to stand up and move towards the direction of Bianca Ojukwu to start pouring venom on her. It must be pointed out that Bianca was not at the ceremony, but there as a direct representative of our late father and leader, Chief Odumegu Ojukwu, her late husband, who pioneered the All Progressive Grand Alliance, ABGA, and the shining symbol of Igbo unity and solidarity. Ojukwu sacrificed all he had for the Igbos to survive. So wherever Bianca goes, she represents and carries the aspiration and personage of the entire Igbo race. Therefore, Ebere's action of casting aspersion on her is an affront on the entire Igbo people. It was indeed on Odumegu Ojukwu and not on Bianca as a person. This is an insult on Igbo, and it must not go unpunished. Ebere should realize that the same Abga on whose platform she and her husband have benefited immensely through these 8 years was floated when they were not even in the country, and they never contributed to its formation. It is on record that I took Obiano and his wife Ebere to Bianca Ojukwu when they knelt down while seeking the party's governorship ticket. Bianca endorsed Obiano and called on all ABGA members, including then Governor Peter Obi, to support him. It is the same Bianca that Ebere has now publicly insulted. This is a taboo against the tradition of the Awka people and the entire Igbo race, who are known for respect and peaceful coexistence. It should be noted that Mrs. Obiano and the husband Willie Obiano, who used the name and pictures of Ojukwu in their campaign t-shirt to win election via the endorsement of his wife Bianca, never met Ojukwu or discussed with him while he was alive. The same ungrateful attitude was what Obiano and Ebere meted out to Prince Arthur Eze, who financed the registration and establishment of ABGA as a political party. Throughout their 8-year tenure, Obiano never showed respect to Prince Eze. This is an indication that Obiano and his wife are pathological ingrates. This time they have gone too far. Igbos are angry. Enough is enough. This is the last time that kind of disgraceful and shameful act against Bianca Ojukwu would even be imagined or tolerated from anybody, no matter how highly placed. Igbos and non-Igbos from various parts of the country and beyond have been calling to express their shock and anger over the incident. And as the custodian of our people's tradition, it is incumbent on me to uphold the customs of our land. Ojukwu's personage, as represented by Bianca, can never be denigrated. It is shameful that someone who has been First Lady of a state can descend so low. Her conduct shows that she lacks proper training, and it shows that she has no respect for constituted authority, and even for her husband, former Governor Obiano. Mrs. Ebere Obiano has only 7 days to apologize as demanded and directed or face serious consequences.